What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today, we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, as far as data, Monday you have manufacturing, so that's coming out first thing at 10. Aside from that, you have a couple Fed speakers as well as Powell on Wednesday. And in my opinion, I think the broader market is starting to really price in the fact that for the December 18th meeting, there won't be any cut. So most likely a lot of the Feds will kind of reiterate that in reality, just say that they're going to be monitoring the data and stuff like that. But with the recent PCE that came out last week on a year-over-year basis, a little bit higher than anticipated, I think, again, it is fair to assume that there won't be any cuts. So I don't see any disruption to the broader market because of what they state. But on Tuesday, JOLTS report, so that's always a fun old time. And then you have Powell on Wednesday, typical stuff on Thursday, so initial jobless claims. But Friday, you have non-farm payroll. Unemployment forecast for that right now is 4.1, and then consumer sentiment. So a lot of which could cause a secondary FOMO run with SoFi as well as the broader market, or could potentially cause some disruption. And I just say this only because SoFi and just every stock pretty much out there is very overbought. So just kind of be aware of that. I'll go over the technicals and stuff near the end, but you also do have this coming out on December the 3rd. So SoFi is going to be participating at the UBS Global Tech and AI Conference. So that's going to be Chris. And historically, at least majority of the time, whenever there's one of these fireside chats, there's a new analyst rating that does follow within a week. So that might be coming down the pipeline. And essentially, latest analyst ratings have been very, very bullish on SoFi. So last one was done 4 days ago, $19 buy rating by Jefferies, John, who has a 61% success rating. And that was followed by, or previously 10 days ago, $16 buy rating, Dan, who has a 56% success rating with Mizuho. So more and more analysts are starting to see SoFi's potential, and so again, that's kind of a good thing. It won't necessarily be happening this week, but you might see more and more people starting to talk on the fact that SoFi might be getting added to the S&P 500 because it's getting very close to meeting all the marks. Right now, market cap right now is 17.81 billion. To qualify, you need a market cap of 18 billion or more. You need to be on a major exchange, so check. As far as the minimum shares required or traded, check. SoFi is definitely well above that, and then 4 consecutive quarters being positive, and so check. So essentially the only thing that's kind of stuck in limbo right now is that 18 billion or more. And again, if it does continue this good run, I believe around that kind of high 16s, that's where it essentially would qualify. So you might see a lot of articles starting to talk on this. And even though, once again, it's not happening this week, I feel like that would be a very positive sentiment boost that SoFi would get. Because of course, whenever someone talks on any inclusion on pretty much any major list, that does increase liquidity. So meaning institutions will be forced to buy more SoFi, for instance. And most likely, just looking at the list, like Etsy and whatever else, Paramount will be knocked off just based on the market cap and stuff. So yeah, there will be a rotation. Probably a lot of this will be in the spring, most likely, but still a lot of people will be talking on that. This is the current open interest for this upcoming week. So for the December 6th, 2024 expiry date, you have 19,000 at that 6. But as SoFi did break out, I feel like this relevance has diminished. Like when it was roughly around that $7 range, $8 range, you always had shorts trying to manipulate it to below one of the strike prices. But I think shorts in reality have given up all hope. So just kind of take note of this. But I think, like I said, going forward into this upcoming week, it's not going to play that big of a part. Come Monday, though, there was 56,000 in open interest that did expire in the money. So meaning market makers are going to have to cover that. There was some abnormal transactions done after hours on Friday, but not enough to fulfill all of that. So of course, as I've stated, I think you're going to see a nice bump up straight away on Monday, or possibly some abnormal pre-market activity, something to kind of just keep in mind. Going into this upcoming week though, 13.39% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 142.58 million shares overall are being shorted. So you still see this cost to borrow minimum negative. So some broker is really desperate. They've been desperate on and off for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So I don't really anticipate shorts to play that big of a part. Most likely they'll just continue to return up until, as I've stated, probably around that 11% range. So it'll probably be achieved in the next 2 weeks. So that could continue to give a nice boost higher. And with good data, so jolts, unemployment, that is just going to be maybe the final dagger for shorts. We'll just, again, have to wait and see. But coming from a technical standpoint, it's honestly, there's not really much negative things you can really bring up aside from the fact that it is just overbought. That's the only negative about SoFi. It's honestly above every key data point that I'm looking at. Above the ALMA, even looking at the 1 month, it's looking very optimistic. So yeah, there's not really much negative things to really bring up as far as SoFi. Just when it comes down to sometimes the data, if it is negative, this is where you could just see a pullback because of it being rather just overbought. But right now with it at 1641, trading between this R3 and this R2, so doing rather well in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks. But 1629 will be a strong support that you'll want to watch for, and then 1708 followed by roughly, I think it's 1850, going to be the next strong targets / resistance points for SoFi. So I do feel that SoFi has a lot more room to go up. Options is signaling roughly around $18 for this week. So that was the open interest. This is the call options. So you see a consensus for it to be roughly around $18. In reality, some optimism for it to be above 20. That would be really kick-ass. I think that's a little bit far-fetched for this week itself. Most likely it'd be kind of the following weeks, maybe second, third week of December possibly. But realistically, I feel $18 is good. And so, yeah, honestly, I think that's a lot more room for SoFi to move up higher. Analysts are starting to see the full potential of SoFi. And eventually, whenever it does get announced, its inclusion in the S&P would probably be that thing that pushes it to kind of the maybe mid 20s. So yeah, honestly, I think higher highs are coming for SoFi, and it's a fun ride. So it's been a good, 2 months ish that we haven't seen any crazy manipulation with SoFi. So shorts have been just the ones losing, if anything. So let me know your thoughts and what you've been doing. Have you been dabbling with options? Have you been buying? What have you been doing? Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend thus far. One final thing I do want to share with you though is that I did launch a Patreon where I'm giving buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. And I actually just posted as well as far as SoFi. So I went over my predictions, where I see things going, at least in the short term and stuff like that. So make sure you pop over there, link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.